Sports Talk. Let's go.
What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? It's me, your boy Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, and welcome to another edition of NFL Matchups. I'm your host, Ryan Flowers, and it's NFC AFC Championship weekend ahead of us. But before we talk about those matchups and those exciting games ahead of us, let's talk about Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen and the future of this team, and how do we look at him now? Like, does our view change on him? I know a lot of people have been slamming him in the media and on social media. I'll share my thoughts on him. Also, another quarterback, probably in some peril as well, the Houston Texans. Is it time to consider maybe a change at the quarterback position with CJ Stroud? Very subpar performance that he had this weekend against New England. So I'll give you guys my thoughts on that. And of course, it wouldn't be NFL matchups if I did not break down all of the matchups for this upcoming championship weekend. So if you love football and you are in the right spot, I will say that. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This is NFL Matchups with me, Ryan Flowers. Let's go.
We're going to be here all day, baby. I like this kind of party. I like this kind of party, baby.
All right, welcome back in, man. Hope you guys are doing all right, man. On this fine Tuesday afternoon or evening, wherever you are listening, thanks for tuning in. Again, my name is Ryan Flowers, aka Clutch Sports Talk, and this is my show that I do every week on Tuesdays called NFL Matchups. And like I said at the top of the show, we'll be talking about Josh Allen and CJ Stroud, and I'm probably going to get in some coaching changes here that just took place. Robert Saleh took a job today, which I'm very surprised he took. I'll probably shed some light on that too. John Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, the whole gambit of it all. But before we move forward, man, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. You see it there below, Clutch Sports Talk Podcast, as well as find me on the Grid Network and my other social media platforms that you see down there below. And if you're watching live on TikTok, I appreciate you guys for hopping in, man. Drop a comment, drop a like, and share the stream if you guys don't mind. It really goes a long way in the support of the channel and of my page. So I appreciate you guys here on both platforms there. So, all right, that is out the way. Let's just dive straight into it. Let's talk about some Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Now, obviously, they didn't get the win against the Denver Broncos. It was a kind of a back and forth game. A lot of people are just shitting on Josh Allen. I'm not going to shit on him, okay? Because a lot of people are saying he's not elite. I still think he's elite, right? And before you start clowning me in the comment section, it's one thing that you really got to consider. If you want to throw out, and I get it, he wasn't great on Sunday. I will say that. He wasn't great. But one thing I will say about Josh Allen is, especially with this particular team, without him, the Buffalo Bills are irrelevant. Simple as that. They are irrelevant, okay? He makes this team go as far as they're going to go. And sometimes they fall short. Now, I get it. Sean McDermott, been shown the door. He's out there. And I'll kind of chime in a little bit on that right towards the end of this segment here. But I can't, he's probably in a small group of quarterbacks that we have now in the National Football League that can single-handedly go out and change a game and win a game. There's not that many guys out there that say they can do that, right? Obviously, when Patrick Mahomes is healthy, he's one of those guys. Joe Burrow is a guy like that. Honestly, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that's done it consistently, right? And we've got some new guys out there, Drake May, but consistently over a course of 6-7 seasons, Josh Allen has kind of been that guy. Now, I know they've come up short, time and time again, whether it's in the first round, it's in the divisional round, yes, because he is considered one of the best quarterbacks we have in this particular era of football, a lot of it is going to fall on him. I will say that, okay? And rightfully so, because that's how the quarterback position, that's the cross that position carries, right? But I think the Bills have a bigger issue than Josh Allen in itself. Without Josh Allen, like I said before, they would be irrelevant. If you remove him out the situation or out that team, what do they have? Right? It can't solely be on him. You look at past Super Bowl winning championship teams, it's not driven off of one guy. Now, there's some guys that maybe can make the difference, of course. But these teams that are winning, you look back last year, Jalen Hurts, although Eagles fans will say this guy was elite, that defense was really good, right? And he just needed to manage the game. Now, Josh Allen does have a propensity of turning the ball over, not playing situationally the way that we probably would want to see him. But at the end of the day, he is the guy that makes this team go. And every single season he comes out, he gives it all he's got. He's beat up, battered, bruised, and he still falls short. And you know, you want to go back, people can go back to the calls that were made, you know, the pass interference or the interception. And I get all that, you know, and that's always going to be up for debate, right? Referees are going to make calls. It just is what it is. And did they have an opportunity to win that game? They absolutely did. If Brandon Cooks comes down with that pass that is later on ruled interception, that we're talking about the Bills as possibly being the strongest team left to win the Super Bowl, or at least one of the teams, at least in contention, right? I would say. But the problem is we're not. But I don't think it's so much more about Josh Allen. I think it's about the team organizational overall. And you got a guy like, I believe the general manager, Beeman, not only did he relinquish his, well, I'm saying relinquish position, but he got promoted. Sean McDermott was fired, right? Essentially, which I can go both ways with it. I get it. So maybe you need a new voice, whatever the case may be, right? But the general manager, if you go back and if you look at this Buffalo Bills team, can we honestly say how many all pro level type players is on this roster, with the exception of a few guys, maybe like your offensive line, Dawkins, you know, there may be some other, again, I don't follow Buffalo Bills football to that degree, but just thinking about it, there are not a lot of guys that I think just pop out at you right there. Josh Allen is the first thing when you think about the Buffalo Bills, because at the end of the day, you can't replace a couple things that he offers: his arm talent, his physicality, his ability to run, leadership, you know, his playmaking ability outside the script. Like, he's the dude, right? And right now, this is a vacant job. And you can't tell me that coaches aren't like foaming at the mouth trying to be the next head coach of the Buffalo Bills and try to win a championship with Josh Allen, right? So is he one of the top quarterbacks in the National Football League? Absolutely. But football is a game of sometimes luck, and sometimes things just don't fall your way. Now, I know he's come up short time and time again. I still believe he's an elite quarterback, I think, at the end of the day. No doubt about it. I think he's still elite. So some people will beg to differ, but I guess I just have a different definition of elite. He's been able to do it for quite some time. Again, it's not showing up in the wins, losses in regards to the playoffs, but at the end of the day, he's still their guy. He's still their guy. And of course, they're not going to move off of him. I mean, as simple as that. We already got a comment here. What's up, Ben? Ben says, good afternoon. He said, I said this on this show. Yeah, I do remember you saying that. Bill Super Bowls always in November. Their window closed. They had the easiest path this year. As far as McDermott, he was fired a year too late, in my opinion. And also Brandon Beane needs to go. Yeah, Brandon Beane does need to go, but he got promoted. He got promoted as well. So a lot of times when head coaches get fired, well, I won't say a lot of times, you would think, right, the head coach of the GM would probably be fired, especially the consistent losing in the playoffs this team has suffered, right? But the thing about it is that the GM probably knows, what's the best way of saying it? He's probably more relatable to the owner than the coach is relatable to the owner. Because think about it. Where is the GM at a lot of the times during these games? He's not on the field. He's probably in a press box or a skybox suite with the owner. They're schmoozing. They're getting to know one another. And so maybe Brandon Beane was like, you know what? I see the writing on the wall. Let me go in here and schmooze the ownership here for the Buffalo Bills. That way I can keep my job. Because when the owner looks at it, the owner's probably looking as well, the players aren't performing well enough. That's got to be indicative of the coaching, right? Well, in actuality, the players that are chosen usually by the GM, right? And so that's why the coach and the GM are kind of intertwined to a degree, you know? And if Sean McDermott was going to go, then at least Brandon Beane needed to go as well. So, but there's got to be some underlining relationship that Brandon Beane has with the ownership of the Buffalo Bills. Therefore, he was able to stave off termination for at least a year, right? We'll see what happens depending on the coach that they get, the roster moves. And that leads me to my next point is that when you think about it, this team is just, I mean, we've always said it within the last couple of years that this team is so reliant upon Josh Allen, right? If he doesn't play well, this team is dead in the water. And it's a damned if you do or don't type of situation with Josh Allen. I don't think that's fair to him. I get it. It comes with the job. It comes with the territory being a quarterback. But to say that he's not elite is that he can't get it done, there's a lot of guys that can't get it done. And Ben, great point right here, man, because Ben says that I can't say Josh Allen is the modern day Marino, but at least Dan Marino made a Super Bowl. Allen has yet to do it, probably never will as a Buffalo. I'm not going to say never because the National Football League is crazy like that, man. You got teams that suck one year, and then now look at Jacksonville, right? Look how they turn things around, right? 3-4 win team last year. They win double digits. You're a field goal or maybe a defensive stance away from making it to the next round of the playoffs. So, you just never know. This league has proven to show that you can go worst to first just like that by getting the right GM, by getting the right coach, by bringing in the right personnel. I think the Bills, it probably was justified to get rid of McDermott, maybe get a new voice, but ultimately now the spotlight's going to be on Brandon Beane because now he's going to be making a lot of decisions. He's going to be bringing in the talent, and they got to do that. They got to do that, because right now Buffalo is a flawed team. They are. And it's crazy because I guarantee you when they beat Jacksonville the week before, they're flying back home. They're probably like, you know what, man? We just beat a team that just housed Denver at home a couple weeks ago. There's no reason why we can't win that game. Logically, that's how we think as humans. Am I right or wrong? If you're watching on TikTok, man, if you can hit that like button, I'd appreciate that, guys. But realistically, that's the scenario they probably were flying back home thinking. And why would you not be? Why would you not think that, right? You matched up on the road in a tough win against Jacksonville, arguably one of the hottest teams in the National Football League in the last month, one of the hottest quarterbacks in Trevor Lawrence in the last month of the season. And they just couldn't get it done in Denver. Okay? And that happens. It's playoff football. But Josh is going to have to learn. And there's things he's got to clean up. And it's sad to say because he's been, in the league 6-7 years now? The turnovers. Playoff football is just so much more, what's the word? It has a tight feeling to it. And you don't have to be great sometimes. You just can't turn the freaking football over. And he did that. And he did that in crucial points of the game, especially going into the half. You can't do that because the game is shortened at that point. So Ben says, with all due respect, Allen has been to a couple of AFC Championship games with better rosters and still didn't make it. Denver and England are getting better. KC with Mahomes will always have a chance. A head coach isn't going to get. I guess we'll have to agree to disagree. I still think he's a talent. I think that they could have done better to form this team a little bit better. And even in those years where we thought they had better teams, they're still super dependent, on Josh Allen to get it done, right? Where other guys, they probably listen, Stephon Diggs, for as good as he was there, still a diva, still had problems there. They've never really had a really great running game. Defense has been okay, right? So we'll see. But I don't think he's a bum. I think some people out here are calling him garbage. That's ridiculous. The guy is still arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League. So we'll see. I hear what you're saying, Ben. I agree with you to some sentiment. But you never know, right? You go back, you look at other sports, you look at the Golden State Warriors when Mark Jackson was fired, right, from the Warriors, and then literally the next year they're making a run, right? You never know sometimes, and if you can get the right leadership in place, and not to say Sean McDermott is not a good coach, maybe he just wasn't the right coach for this particular team. So a lot to be said about the Buffalo Bills. We'll see how they address the offseason player personnel development situation and see how we move forward with them. All right, let's talk about CJ Stroud. So yeah, appreciate you guys in TikTok hitting the like button. Let's keep it going, guys, if we can. CJ Stroud, man, what the freak happened to this guy? We all saw the game. I'm not going to really break down that game, but I'll say this. That was for how bad he played, and the fact that they still probably could have won that game says a lot about the Houston Texans defense as a whole. At no point, even though the game was close, I didn't think they were going to win the game just because CJ just couldn't play football. It's like he forgot how to play football all of a sudden. And do I think they have a problem in Houston? I will say, yeah, to an extent. I think he's going to have to play better, right? And when he was hurt this year, and Davis Mills came in and won 3 or 4 games, it kind of showed that the team isn't built around him. It's kind of built around the defense in itself. And that I'm going to say just anybody can go in there. But, I mean, to be fair, CJ Stroud, you know, when he was drafted, a couple of things that stood out to me, right? I mean, number one, his accuracy was good. Accuracy was good. He had really good pocket pressure at one point when his first rookie year. He had really good poise, and his playmaking ability. Second year, you can start to see it go down. This year, he missed some time, and then you got what you got. Was it Saturday or Sunday? Like, it was like, damn, like this fool had never played football before. The things that he was trying to do, forcing the ball when he probably should just take the sack, right? I get it. You're down Nico Collins. I know Dalton Schultz goes down, so it's cold. I get all that. But like I just said a couple minutes ago, your defense is so good that you didn't need to just go out and win the game, right? You just needed to maintain and manage the football game. And he didn't do that. He was terrible. 7 turnovers in 2 games? And I know a lot of people were watching that Pittsburgh game the week before and was like, oh, wow. But I'm watching that through a lens. It's like, yeah, they got away with that because the Steelers just weren't that good. Simple as that. And he still had like 2 or 3 turnovers against the Steelers, right? So this team is definitely built around the defense. There's no doubt about that. And it is sad that we won't get a chance to see them play any further the rest of the year because of how elite that defense is. And CJ Stroud is going to have to go back into the lab. He's going to have to humble himself a little bit, right? But I just saw a clip of him after his rookie year. He's saying, like, he's one of the top best 5 quarterbacks in the National Football League. Like, he said that after his rookie year, you know? So you know, we got a comment. Want to talk about Sports Talk Houston, what happened to that D in Foxborough, right? So, you know, and the Patriots, again, that was a great, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. They took advantage of what CJ Stroud was doing or helping them out, right? But again, that game was still relatively close. Did I feel like the Patriots were going to lose that game? No, absolutely not. Because CJ was just horrible. He was just horrible. Now, it's not all on him again, kind of like with Buffalo. You have to set up your guy for success. The Texans literally did nothing in the offseason to help out their offensive line issues. They just didn't, okay? They probably need to go out and get another wide receiver of some sorts, right? Because if you pair, let's just say A.J. Brown for whatever reason, hypothetically. Let's say you get an A.J. Brown, Nico Collins, the Higgins kid they drafted, Dalton Schultz. The running game was pretty decent. Whitney Marks started to, find his gear later in the season. So, like, that's a formidable team. And then you pair them with that defense, it's I mean, listen, I like the Patriots, obviously, this weekend. We'll talk about that game. But that Texas defense got some dudes on there, man. So guys like Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter, Petrie, Stingley, they got dudes. What's the other guy's name? Al Shahir, right? Like, they got guys, and they kept that game relatively close. The Patriots just couldn't slam the door all the way until like the very end. But again, it comes back to quarterback play and not turning the ball over. And he just did that too much. Now, do I think they need to move off of him? No, I don't see that's not necessarily. But next year is going to be a big year for CJ Stroud because, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat here. I think he still is on like a rookie deal, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think he's got an extension yet. But there's going to be some decisions that need to be made about him because this defense is so good. You're going to have to start paying guys on that side of the ball at some point. And a lot of times you start paying the quarterback, you start losing money. You won't be able to keep a Danielle Hunter, a Petrie, right? Those types of guys. They're going to move on because they're going to go get paid somewhere else. So I'm not saying that Davis Miles or Mills, whatever his damn name is the answer, because he's not. He's a good backup. But CJ Stroud is going to have to prove to not only his team, but the rest of the league that he's still a really good quarterback. Now, so we'll have to wait and see. But Ben says, by the way, the Texans better pay Will Anderson. He's a rare breed defensive end. Him. I mean, yeah. I mean, not enough is said about Will Anderson, So, hey, what's up, Brandon Don? Yes, I am a Dallas fan. Yeah, appreciate you, man. Yeah, but listen, I'm not like your typical Cowboys fan. I am very objective about the Cowboys. So if you ever listen to me talk, I'm not this Cowboys fan that's just going to be like, oh, yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl every year. Like, I know there's some deficiencies. But back to Will Anderson. Did you see what he was doing to, what was that kid's name at LSU? Campbell? I mean, he made, I think his name is Will Campbell. Is it Will Campbell? Let me know. I know his last name's Campbell. He made Campbell look like he's never played tackle in the football, ever. Right? Appreciate the follow, man. Thanks a lot. So this team, now I will say this. I'm not a big fan of like defensive coaches and young quarterbacks. It's not my thing. I'm not a big fan of that. I will give DeMeco Ryans credit. He has a good team. He has a good squad. But I feel like young quarterbacks need an offensive mind to continue to mature them. And I think as the years go on, maybe CJ Stroud might regress. That's my hypothesis. That's my hypothesis. I don't think he'll get any better than what he is right now. I could be wrong. And maybe a year from now, we'll be talking about maybe the Texans competing in the Super Bowl. We'll see. Long time away. What up, Corey? What's up, man? Hope you're doing all right, bro. Ben says since CJ was second pick of 2023 draft, he's got so he did get a 4-year deal with a 5th-year option. So, thanks, Ben. Appreciate you for that. But I don't know, man. It's not all on him, but he's got to play better. He's got to play better. And I feel like for him too, from all intents and purposes, I'm not connected to the NFL, like working for the NFL or anything like that. But for all intents and purposes, he seems like a very, very good guy. Like he comes to the podium, he says what he needs to say, the right things. He's not getting in trouble. He's an advocate for a lot of different special variety of issues outside of football. Like I get all that. So I'm not going to shit on him too much. But I think sometimes I feel like because he wasn't like a number 1 pick, he's feeling like he's got to play well over his skis when a lot of times you really don't, man. If I had a defense as good as the fucking Texans had, dude, I would just be like throwing passes that the defenses gives me. Like the defense is that good. And honestly, to me personally, they're the best defense in the National Football League. And I know people will say Denver, and I know people will say Seattle because of what they just did to the 49ers. But the Texans, if you watch the Texans defense, these guys are out. I mean, it's probably Texans and Seattle, right? But the Texans defense, they got guys that just wake up and choose violence in the morning. Like throw on their tape, right? It's a very good defense. And again, unfortunately, we won't see them any further just because. But there needs to be some decisions made in Houston and conversations need to be had because if this doesn't pan out, if we're sitting here next year and let's say they don't even make the playoffs, all right, or they get a wild card, or whatever the case may be, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Because you're going to be wasting another year of Will Anderson and other guys on that defense. So I like the Texans. For those who have followed me for quite some time, you know that I've been on the Texans for a long time, for at least 4 or 5 years, literally since DeMeco Ryans took over, right? I was like, you know what? They got some. Who was their last coach? Was it Lovie Smith? Right? When they got rid of him, and then they got DeMeco, I was telling people, I was like, you know what? They got some dudes on that team, man. I'm telling you right now, they got some guys, and then they went and added some more. We'll see. But one bad playoff run shouldn't affect his trajectory, but they need to keep a close eye on the situation. And I'll just leave it at that because I'll just leave it at that. So, all right. Appreciate you guys. TikTok, man. Let's get those likes going in. We're only at 400, dude. I want to try to get to 1,000 likes on the stream if we can do that. And drop a follow, man. If you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, man, drop a comment as well. And like, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So, all right, man. Let's talk about these matchups, dude. Because that's what we're here for, man. It's NFL matchups. Let's talk about some matchups. Now, people on TikTok, you guys can't see this, but I got the games on my screen here. Anyway, all right. So, first matchup of the day, we got New England Patriots on the road taking on the Denver Broncos. I mean, storylines like that. I appreciate Elijah. Appreciate you, man. Storylines is pretty simple. Bo Nick's out. I mean, damn, what a tough break, right? Patriots, good, solid win. Drake May playing pretty good. That their running game is hitting all. So why? New England Patriots got some receivers, man. That Kayshon Boutte, what a Boutte guy. I mean, I was on him last year. And I actually liked him at LSU. He's a very good player at LSU. He goes to New England. We kind of forget about him. And the guy's just catching everything, man. I mean, he's one-handed, diving in the end zone, making plays. Stephon Diggs, like, he looks reinvigorated, you know. when he's not choking out people. So great team. Great team. So as far as the line is concerned, from a betting perspective, what Patriots should be favored -4.5, at least what I'm seeing right now. Over under is 42.5. And right, 4.5, I think, is about fair. Keys to victory for this particular team, for the New England Patriots, is simple. Control the line of scrimmage. This is a good defense you're playing. Not as strong of a defense as people think they are. They once were, but they've been had a couple times, right? They're going to have to limit turnovers. Drake May, you can't put the ball on the floor. He's been doing that a little bit here. Right? You got to keep the ball in your possession at once. You can't give Jason Stidham and the Denver Broncos extra possessions, right? You can't do that. Obviously, they're going to have to exploit the quarterback matchup. Drake May, by far, is the better quarterback in this situation, so they should win that. And then situationally, Mike Vrabel, out of all the coaches that you have in the National Football League, and he's one of the best, situational awareness, situational football, Mike Vrabel is one of the best. And I think if it comes down to a situation where a decision needs to be made, he'll more than likely not make the right decision. Okay, so those are the keys to the victory for them. Now, as far as the Broncos are concerned, you're going to have to lean heavily into the defense. You're going to have to steal extra possessions from the New England Patriots. So you better hope Drake May throws you a ball, puts it on the carpet or on the ground, and you get it. Because although Jason Stidham is a backup, listen, for those who don't really know, backups don't get a lot of snaps in practice. They just don't. Like, when was the last time Jason Stidham, I said Statham almost, Jason Stidham played meaningful football? Like, legitimately, meaningful football. Probably his last start. And I don't even think he started with the Broncos, right? But still, right? So your defense is going to have to steal the ball away or to get some takeaways from them. A run game is going to have to be very, 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 very critical for them. You got to get Harvey going, because if you can, couple things here. You get the takeaways, you run the football, you bleed out the clock, you limit their opportunities to score the football, right? And you control the balance, you control the line of scrimmage, right? So that's going to be very, very key. And I mean, listen, home field advantage, you got to take advantage of that, right? Denver, one of the most raucous places you can play in, outside of like Seattle, Kansas City, I think Minnesota, New Orleans, like those places get loud. Like Denver not only has an environmental advantage, you're up above, you're above sea level, right? The place gets loud. It gets loud in there. Stidham gonna surprise everyone next year. He's gonna be QB1 somewhere else. You know, I remember when Stidham was a free agent, a lot of people were like, "Oh, he should probably stay with the Raiders, right?" And he split to go to Denver. And we're like, "Why?" So we'll see how it works out. But then, and finally, for Denver, explosive plays. Although you don't have your QB1 in there, and I will give Bo Nix credit. That touchdown that he threw, sensational. I mean, the great throw, and he played well. So if they can somehow find a way to get Stidham in those situations, it's going to be critical for them to stay in the game, because we know the Patriots probably will hit a couple big plays or here or there. They will. And I know Denver's defense has been pretty solid for the most part. They've kind of been struggling a little bit, so especially at home, right? Giving up 30 to Buffalo, and then you go back to a couple weeks to the Jacksonville game, like they're susceptible, okay? Now, with all that said, -4.5, I still like the Patriots. I think the quarterback situation is just too hard to overlook. And it's not that I'm hating on Denver. If Bo Nix probably plays, I might lean Denver a little bit more, but I haven't really been sold on Denver really because of just the nature and how they've been winning games towards the end. But I mean, I could be wrong. It is what it is, but my gut is telling me I got to go with the New England Patriots to win this game. The quarterback situation for me is big. And it's huge. And in a big game like this isn't just like week 7. You're talking about a berth to the Super Bowl is on the line. And Jason Stidham has not played meaningful football in quite some time. So someone said on TikTok, they said for sure it hasn't snapped the ball in almost 2 seasons, like meaningful snaps. So I like the Patriots in that game. All right, NFC, this is an interesting one too. You got the Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams are road dogs at +3. Seahawks should be favored, right? They're at home, of course. And over-under is 47.5. So as far as keys to victory for Seattle, it's pretty simple, man. Control the clock, control the tempo. Now, Charbonnet is out. He's out for the rest of the season or for the playoffs. He's got an injury there. So Kenneth Walker is going to get the full brunt right there. I don't know who their third running back is, but my guess he's probably a pretty decent running back too. But Kenneth Walker is going to be the guy there, right? So, and the reason why they want to run the football because there's one team you don't want to get in a shootout with, and that's the Rams because they got the firepower. They got the guys that can make big plays, right? Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. That's and I get it. Seattle's got JSN, and I love JSN. I think he's phenomenal. Having a great season. But you don't want to get in a shootout with the Rams because they can go tit for tat with you throwing the ball. They can. And they almost only will, right? We've seen that over time. So, but as far as the tempo, Seattle's going to have to get the ball, run the football, get their play action setups with Sam Darnold, right? Kind of like what they've been kind of doing. Like we saw what they did to the Niners in week, 18 or 17. And then we saw them what they did again to the Niners again in last week, like running the football, limiting the amount of touches that Sam Darnold or dropbacks Sam Darnold has to attempt to make passes, right? You don't want him back there throwing because at the end of the day, a part of us, and even Seattle fans, they don't want to admit it. They probably don't trust him either. Okay, so setting the tone, controlling the line of scrimmage is going to be part of that, like control the clock and the tempo, right? Turnovers are going to have to be a thing, right? The Rams have enough firepower, like I just mentioned. So if you give them extra possessions, you're just basically telling them, please beat us. Please beat us. So Sam Darnold, protect the football. Don't throw the ball. Don't throw it in harm's way, man. Defensively, one of the best defenses in the National Football League. Defensive line, that front seven, phenomenal. Linebackers, phenomenal. Secondary, exceptional. Right? And if there's one defense that can stop a high-flying, high-powered, explosive play offense, is going to be Seattle. They got guys that can cover Puka. They got guys that can cover Devontae. That's why this game is going to be so interesting. Because of all the talent on the field, man, like who is going to break at the end of the day, right? And like Denver, Seattle got to take advantage of the home field, right? Again, one of the loudest, if not the loudest stadium in the National Football League. 12th man, when they get that flag raising up, it's legit. And so that's something that they're going to have to consider and use that rhythm to disrupt the offensive threat of the Rams, especially when their defense is on the field and the Rams offense is out there, right? Make it so hard that Matthew Stafford can't even hear the damn play coming through his headset. So that's your keys to victory. Rams, it's pretty simple, man. Get the ball out of Stafford's hands fast as hell. He cannot be back there holding it, padding it, because Leonard Williams, DeMarcus Lawrence, one of these guys is going to get to him. Okay? They're going to get to him. Also, Rams, run the football. Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, run the football. Stop the run and run the football themselves. So from a defensive perspective, you got to find a way to slow down Kenneth Walker. Now, you're lucky Zach Charbonnet is out, and maybe his replacement isn't as good or comparable. So that's kind of like, okay, I can work with that. So Rams got to stop the run. If you cannot stop the run, then they're going to be in trouble because then you saw what they're doing to the Niners. They're just gashing them. Now, I think the Rams defense is obviously better than the Niners defense at this point, right? They still got their guys. Now, their secondary is pretty suspect, I would say. Guys like Forbes, and not a big fan. Not a big fan. So, but then as far as them running the football, that's going to be key. And they got it. They can do it. The Rams, this is what's so unique about the Rams, right? A lot of people think, too, they're just this, like, explosive, big play kind of offense. No, like, they can beat you outside. They can beat you inside. They have the means to do it. They have a pretty big offensive line, right? And they can beat you in the phone book. They can beat you outside the phone book, like a phone box. It's like, it's a good offense. It's a really good offense. So that's going to have to do. So, and if you're the defense for the Rams, you're going to have to try to force Seattle into those throwing downs. 3rd and 8. You can't give Seattle like 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, right? You're just asking them to convert. So if you can stop the run on 1st down, limit them, force Sam Darnold to about 3rd and long, then you have a chance. Now they're going to hit some plays. I mean, this is a good team. They're going to hit plays, but you got to try to find a way to limit them. This is all obvious stuff. Okay, what's your point there, Lewis? So, and as far as moving on with the Rams turnover battles, I mean, like that's any game, right? If whoever loses the turnover margin usually loses the game, right? It's very rare that teams that turn the ball 5 times a game win the football game. It's very rare. So whoever loses that margin probably more likely going to lose this game because that's how tight it is. And honestly, I think the spread should probably be closer than what it is. What did I say? -3. This should probably be 1.5 because I still think that although the Rams haven't been really been playing great football over the last couple weeks, they're like a wounded animal. And if Sean McVay gets it going, Matthew Stafford can stay upright, then this team definitely has the offense to stay in this game. And I know Seattle's defense has been really good, in particularly at home. We saw we saw this matchup of like almost over a month ago, right? Was it Thursday Night Football? That was a good game. And Seattle was taking it to the Rams, and then the Rams turned it on and was like, damn, we could actually play football, and got back in that game. Now, ultimately, they lost, but that was a really good game. So, but yeah, like Louis said, this is obvious stuff, but it is what it is. I mean, you turn on any reviewing or any channel network, they're going to be talking about the same stuff, honestly, at the end of the day. So, but those are my keys to victory. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, who I think is going to win the game? From the longest I've been on the Rams, and I'm not going to back off them, right? I like the Rams. I think it's going to be a Rams-Patriots Super Bowl. I think the Rams are going to go in there. I think they're going to make a little bit more bigger plays. I think this game is going to come down to the last team that has the ball. Honestly, that's what I think it's going to happen. I think if the LA Rams have the ball last, they're going to find a way to scheme it and win the game. But I think this is going to be the over-under, 47.5. I'm willing to bet this is going to be an over. Because at the end of the day, high-powered offenses usually kind of sometimes beat out defenses, and that's my opinion. That's my opinion. So, but I like the Rams to win the game. So I got Patriots, I got Rams in the Super Bowl to play in Levi. And listen, that'll be a great Super Bowl, I think. But we'll talk about that, break that if in fact this does happen. With the Patriots winning and the Rams winning. So there you guys have it. So, all right, man, we hit over 1K likes on TikTok, man. We got 6 people in here, man. Hey, tap that like button, man. Let's get it going in here. And on YouTube, and if you're watching, drop a comment, drop a follow. Before I wrap up out here, I'm going to talk on a couple of things here. Coaching changes, things that I need to I'll share briefly my thoughts on some coaching changes that I didn't get a chance to talk about because everything happened since last week, Tuesday, up until now. John Harbaugh hired as the Giants. Give him a shitload of money. Like, why would he not say yes to that? Right? I think it's a good spot. I mean, you're in a division I think is still winnable, right? I think that team, they got some pieces there. Malik Neighbors obviously has to be healthy for Jackson Dart to be kind of like the guy that we think he could be, right? So maybe John Harbaugh might bring some stability there, some mature leadership there. Isaac King says Mendoza gonna be the next Andrew Luck. Poor guy. Well, I guess it's a gift and a curse because Andrew Luck had a really good career up until he retired. Obviously, he got sacked a lot. Same thing with Burrow. We'll see how that goes. But back to Harbaugh. I think it's a good thing. I think out of everybody in that situation who needs to be on alert is Joe Shane. Because he's still the GM, but Harbaugh has final say on player personnel, which is weird to me. So Joe Shane is probably just glad that he has a job still. So, but I think John Harbaugh, not a bad move. Obviously, we didn't know Sean McDermott was going to get fired. So I think Buffalo is still an intriguing job because you got the quarterback. Because when you look at all these other teams that have openings, the quarterback situation, whether it's the Raiders, even Giants. I mean, Jackson Dart, decent rookie, I would say, but there's still a lot of questions about him moving forward. Can he stay healthy? Number one, that's one thing. So, but overall, I don't think it's a bad hire. I mean, they gave him a lot of money. And to me, John Harbaugh feels like a Northeast kind of guy anyway. Like, we think John Harbaugh was going to go to Arizona. Like, nah, I don't think so. Like, I know people flirted around with the idea of him going to Pittsburgh. Like, he just feels like a Northeast kind of guy. So, Levi, Raiders shouldn't draft him. They can't even block for Genti yet or defend. Yeah, I have some thoughts on that, guys. But let me get through this real quick about the coaches. So, the next big thing, Robert Saleh. Like, what the hell are you doing? Why? Listen, Robert Saleh is one of the best assistant coaches we have in football. If not one of the best defensive coordinators, him and guys like Brian Flores, superior guys. And when I got the news that he was signing to go over to be the head coach of the Titans, I'm like, did you not pick up a newspaper and see that the Buffalo Bills job was available? Like how much money did they throw at you, my guy? And let's be real, he's made a lot of money. He was a head coach for the Giants. You know, he got paid a good amount of money to come back and be the coordinator for the 49ers. But when you look at Tennessee, like, and if you're a Tennessee fan, I'm not trying to diss you guys or anything like that, but let's be real. Like, that's not a talented roster. Like Cam Ward, like, I like him. I think he's a great story, but is he the guy? Is he a great NFL quarterback? Like, I don't know yet. Like, because we don't know because the roster is shit. Simple as that, right? And you're going to go there in a division with the Texans, in a division, you know, and the Texans got their shit together. Outside of CJ Stroud playing like straight ass in the playoffs, we talked about that defense earlier in the show. Jacksonville, what they did with Liam Cohen in one season. You don't think they're going to get any better, right? And in Indianapolis, like, they just can't stay healthy and they got to find a quarterback, which, you know, I get it. But, like, that's a good team too. Like, they won 8, like, straight games in a row, something crazy like that, right? But then they lost, like, 10 in a row. But anyway. And then you're going to go to Tennessee with questions around the quarterback. Your defense is not great. You have no offensive threats. Tony Pollard is not like a guy that I'm like, oh, my God, I got to prepare for Tony Pollard. Like, oh. Like, but you chose Tennessee? I mean, shit. Baltimore would have been a better choice for Robert Saleh, in my opinion. You get Lamar Jackson, but this fool chose the Tennessee Titans. I don't get it. So I hate to say, he just walked into like another New York Jets situation. He left. He got fired from dysfunctional organization to go and get hired by another dysfunctional organization. Like Robert Saleh, that don't make no sense, man. So to me, his credibility kind of took a hit for me because that just doesn't make sense to me. All signs point to he just took the money. That's what it looks like to me. Because you can't tell me Baltimore, and I get it. Now, Baltimore had a rough year. Lamar was hurt, but organizationally, folks, Baltimore has been really, really good in the front office. And like, that's what I'm looking at. And again, I never coached in the NFL, right? Never coached in college, but I'm just looking at it from the outside looking in. Like, why would I go somewhere that is a fucking tire fire? Like, why? This doesn't make sense to me. But he went there, and we'll see what happens. All right. And then, what's up, Charlie? Yeah, I'll answer your question just a second here. Drop a follow too if you guys don't mind. I thought the Raiders are even better. And I know, trust me, I get it. I live in Vegas. I hear a lot of Raider talk. And I know Raiders aren't like, they're kind of like, when you see dysfunction, there's Raiders there too. But I feel like there might be a shift here, hopefully, right, with the Raiders, right? And I know Tom Brady, he's the owner, but he's like not like in the building every day because he just can't because of his work with Fox and whatnot. But I feel like some of that's got to rub off somewhere, right? I thought maybe the Raiders might have been a really good spot for him. I think personally, but he chose Tennessee. So, all right, thoughts on Pickens? Listen, I have 2 thoughts on it. Number one, and actually, let me wrap up the YouTube show here because we're kind of going on a tangent here. So let me wrap up the YouTube show, and then I'll get you guys on TikTok. So, hey, what's up, Flawless? What up, Jazzy? Hope you're feeling all right. But yeah, so that's all I got here on the YouTube side. If you guys want to catch me over on TikTok, we're going to keep the conversation going for a little bit longer. But other than that, I'll be back next week, Tuesday, and we'll be talking about who's going to the Super Bowl or not. So with all that said, man, like I always say, this is your boy, Ryan Flowers, a.k.a. Clutch Sports Talk. Never settle till the work is done. I'll see you guys next week. Peace.
Clutch Sports Talk. Let's go.
What's up, Degenerate?